They say the human body can only endure so much. Yet in remote corners of Africa, there are tribes where young men and women regularly run distances that would cripple trained athletes, leap heights that defy physics, and build strength not through steel or gyms, but through rhythm, ritual, and a deep relationship with the land. Scientists once recorded a desert tribe walking more than 50 miles in a single day without water, barely raising their heart rate, as if their bodies had rewritten the rules of human endurance. This is the hidden world of African tribal fitness, where strength is not sculpted for aesthetics, but forged for survival, identity, and community. What if the most advanced training system in human history wasn't developed in a modern gym, but preserved in ancient traditions carried through song, ceremony, and movement? What if the workouts of Africa's warriors, the jumping, the dancing, the endurance, the rituals, held the blueprint for a stronger, happier, more connected life? Today we step into a story older than kingdoms, older than iron, older than war itself. A story about how human beings learned to move, sweat, and thrive long before we had mirrors, machines, or metrics. The truth is simple but profound. Long before science studied fitness, culture perfected it. And across Africa's vast landscape, from the red plains of Kenya to the rainforests of Congo, from the deserts of the Sahara to the savannas of southern Africa, every tribe created its own form of training. Not exercise for health, but movement for survival. Not workouts for appearance, but rituals that shaped warriors, hunters, mothers, leaders, and entire societies. Our first lesson begins in the East, where the earth stretches wide and the sky feels close enough to touch. Across the plains of Kenya and Tanzania, the Maasai people developed a training style that blends grace and power in one of the most iconic movements in Africa, the vertical jump. To outsiders, it looks simple. A group of young warriors leaping straight upward, each trying to outjump the other. But to the Maasai, this is far more than a contest. It is a rite, a measure of strength, a way to show the tribe that a young man's legs are powerful enough to carry him across the savannah, fast enough to outrun danger, and strong enough to stand his ground when life demands courage. The Maasai jump, known as adamu, is a marvel of natural biomechanics. Studies later revealed that these jumps train explosive fast-twitch fibers, improve vertical load tolerance, and create remarkable stability through the ankles and calves. But the Maasai never needed a scientific explanation. They learned by living. Every day was a workout, walking barefoot long distances, moving with livestock, carrying loads balanced on the head, and learning to navigate the land using nothing but instinct and memory. Their workout wasn't a routine, it was their life. Their training philosophy reveals the first secret. The human body grows powerful when movement is natural, continuous, and woven into daily ritual. Travel west into the dense forests of Central Africa, and the sound of drums fills the air. Here, among tribes like the Baka, Aka, and the many communities of the Congo Basin, fitness takes on an entirely different form, one driven by rhythm, footwork, and full-body coordination. For thousands of years, dance wasn't entertainment, it was training for the hunt, a way to rehearse the agility needed to move through brush and shadow with near-silent precision. Scientists who studied hunter-gatherer movements found that their daily physical output is equivalent to that of elite endurance athletes, but without signs of chronic injury. The secret lies in variety, fluidity, and constant use of stabilizing muscles modern life tends to ignore. Imagine sprinting through tangled roots and thick vines, dropping to the ground in a single breath, shifting your weight with the grace of an animal, then exploding forward again. The dances of these communities mimic exactly that. Rapid foot switches, deep squats, quick rotations, and short bursts of explosive movement. What looks like celebration is actually conditioning, preparing ankles, hips, knees, and the core to handle unpredictable terrain. Every step, every beat is a lesson in control. Move further into West Africa, and you find a different kind of training entirely, one rooted in story, ceremony, and transformation. The Akan of Ghana, the Yoruba of Nigeria, the Mandinka of Mali, and many other West African groups use dance not only to prepare the body, but to embody the strength of ancestors, spirits, or animals. In these dances, power isn't just physical, it is spiritual. The movements channel bravery, discipline, unity, and identity. A warrior dance is a physical textbook, teaching footwork for battle, building lung capacity through continuous motion, and strengthening joints through repeated bending, twisting, and stamping. The Yoruba Bada dances demand intense core tension and rapid-fire steps that test balance and endurance. The Akan Kite dances train explosive timing, rhythm, and coordination. These are workouts disguised as ceremonies, rituals that condition the mind and body at the same time. And research today recognizes the incredible cardiovascular benefits of these traditional movements. What modern trainers call functional training, West Africans perfected long before anyone gave it a name. Now travel north to the edge of the Sahara, where survival looks different and so does training. The Tuareg, the Amazigh, and the many desert tribes of North Africa carved their strength from heat, hardship, and horizon. Here, endurance isn't a skill, it is identity. Walking or riding for days with minimal water built a form of resilience unmatched in the modern world. Studies of desert nomads reveal astonishing physiological adaptations, efficient thermoregulation, powerful slow-twitch fibers, and the ability to maintain stamina under extreme temperatures. Imagine carrying everything you own across a desert. Imagine navigating dunes the size of mountains while wrapped in layers of cloth, protecting your body from sun that burns hotter than fire. Every step becomes training. Every day becomes a test. North African endurance is not the explosive strength of East Africa or the rhythmic conditioning of the West. It is the quiet, unbreakable strength that comes from surviving a world that gives you nothing for free. Head south toward the savannas, and you encounter yet another style of training, one built around combat and community. Among the Zulu, Xhosa, and other southern groups, traditional stick-fighting shaped generations of warriors. The training involved footwork, rapid shifts of direction, core tension, shoulder endurance, and mental sharpness. A true warrior could strike, dodge, block, and retreat all in a fraction of a second. It was cardio, strength, reaction time, and emotional control woven together. But what made traditional African combat training so exceptional wasn't just the speed or the power. It was the rhythm. Movements were always connected to breathing patterns, chants, or drum beats that helped fighters stay calm, even as the body pushed near its limits. Modern sports science now proves what African warriors knew long ago. Rhythm reduces performance anxiety, improves coordination, and extends physical endurance. Now shift further south and east into Namibia, Botswana, and parts of Angola, where ancient hunter-gatherer tribes like the San practiced a completely different kind of training, one born from persistence hunting. Imagine chasing an antelope under the blazing sun for hours, not to sprint it down, but to slowly exhaust it. This was a test not of speed, but of sheer, unyielding spirit. The San could track an animal just by reading faint footprints, broken blades of grass, or shifts in the wind. They used a combination of jogging, fast walking, and bursts of sprinting to wear their prey down. Anthropologists studying these hunters discovered aerobic capacities that rival endurance athletes. But none of it came from planned training. It came from a lifestyle where movement was constant, purposeful, and meaningful. Each step was tied to survival. Every mile carried the weight of tradition. Across all these landscapes, plains, forests, deserts, savannas, there is one thread that unites Africa's tribal training systems: the belief that the body becomes strong not through isolation, but through connection. Connection to the earth beneath your feet, connection to your community, connection to rhythm and story, connection to purpose. And this reveals another truth. The more meaningful your movement, the stronger your body becomes. In the modern world, we often move without meaning. We work out to burn calories, to look a certain way, or to relieve stress. But in traditional Africa, movement was life. Endurance was love. Strength was responsibility. Agility was celebration. Jumping wasn't exercise, it was identity. Dancing wasn't cardio, it was cultural memory stored in muscle and bone. As we look deeper into the science of these traditions, the wisdom becomes even more profound. Researchers studying barefoot running communities in East Africa discovered that natural foot strike patterns developed over generations protect the knees and reduce injury. Studies on drumming communities in West Africa reveal that rhythmic movement enhances brain plasticity and emotional regulation. Investigations into desert nomads show how slow, steady endurance builds a heart that pumps more efficiently and muscles that can thrive under heat and stress. What Western science calls training principles, progressive overload, mobility work, plyometrics, endurance conditioning, are built into African traditions, but through intuition rather than theory. Tribal workouts evolved not in gyms, but in open air, not in isolation, but in community, not through repetition for repetition's sake, but through movement that mattered. And perhaps the most striking element across the continent is how joy and discipline coexist. In African dance-based conditioning, laughter and exhaustion often happen at the same time. In desert endurance, silence and suffering blend into peace. In stick fighting, fear disappears into focus. In persistence hunting, fatigue becomes meditation. This ability to suffer while smiling, to endure while singing, to push while staying centered is a uniquely powerful form of psychological resilience. Move north again, toward Ethiopia and Eritrea, and the story continues. In the highlands, communities lived at altitudes where oxygen thins, yet life goes on without complaint. Children walk miles to school through steep mountain paths. Women carry loads balanced gracefully on their backs. Men guide livestock through rocky terrain. These everyday movements create bodies designed for climbing, squatting, balancing, and stabilizing. Modern athletes train for altitude. Highland Africans simply live it. Their lungs expand, their capillaries multiply, their endurance grows not through choice, but through necessity. This reveals another lesson. Environment is the greatest trainer, and Africa's environments demand everything a human body can give. Heat, wind, hills, plains, rivers, forests, deserts. Each landscape becomes a silent coach. Each tradition becomes a masterclass in adaptation. When you look at it through this lens, the African tribal workout is not a workout at all. It is a philosophy, a worldview, a story about how humans can move with power, purpose, and joy without needing machines, schedules, or complicated systems. It is a reminder that our bodies were designed for nature, not for desks, designed for rhythm, not for rigidity, designed for connection, not isolation. Imagine if we trained like the tribes of Africa for just one day. Instead of counting reps, we'd chase a goal. Instead of using a treadmill, we'd run under the sun. Instead of lifting weights, we'd carry something meaningful. Instead of doing squats, we'd dance. Instead of monitoring heart rate, we'd follow rhythm. Instead of training alone, we'd move together. The truth is, the world's toughest warriors were not built in gyms. They were shaped by land, community, and culture. They mastered endurance without tracking miles. They mastered strength without lifting iron. They mastered mobility without stretching routines. And they mastered resilience through rituals that blended the physical and the spiritual into one. This brings us into the heart of the story. African tribal training teaches 7 profound lessons. Lessons the modern world desperately needs to remember. The third lesson is that joy is a performance enhancer. Dance, laughter, chanting. These are not just cultural expressions. They release dopamine, regulate breathing, relax muscles, and increase stamina. When movement is joyful, the body pushes further. African workouts thrive because they blend joy with effort, rhythm with fatigue, celebration with challenge. The fourth lesson is that nature is the best gym. Running barefoot trains proprioception. Walking on uneven ground builds stabilizers. Heat improves cardiovascular efficiency. Carrying loads strengthens the spine. Climbing strengthens the core. Everything modern fitness tries to simulate: balance, endurance, mobility. Nature provides for free. Traditional African life is proof of this. The fifth lesson is that rest is woven into rhythm. African movement patterns follow cycles: fast, slow, explosive, calm. They never push the same muscles repetitively without variation. This protects the body from overuse injuries. Many African tribes also have rituals of rest: storytelling evenings, low-intensity communal tasks, and spiritual ceremonies that balance physical effort. Rest is not escape, it's equilibrium. The sixth lesson is that the body is wiser than we think. Many African training methods evolved from intuition, what felt natural, what worked, what aligned with the land. They didn't need scientific validation, yet science now confirms the efficiency of their techniques. Plyometrics in Maasai jumping, interval training in hunting, functional strength in load carrying, breath control in rhythmic movement. Trusting the body is a form of ancient intelligence. And the final lesson is that movement is identity. In Africa, how you move expresses who you are. A jump can be pride, a dance can be history, a walk can be devotion, a hunt can be legacy. Movement is not separate from life. It is the heartbeat of culture. When we reconnect movement with identity, exercise stops being a chore. It becomes an expression of self. These lessons are not just history, they are an invitation to rethink how we train, how we live, how we connect to our bodies. The African tribal workout is not about copying steps or rituals. It is about reclaiming the human spirit of movement, the spirit that allows us to endure, to adapt, to celebrate, to connect. As the documentary draws to a close, imagine standing at the edge of a vast African landscape during sunrise. The air is cool, the sky glows gold. In the distance, you see silhouettes, people moving, jumping, dancing, running. Their bodies are strong, not because they seek strength, but because they live it. Their endurance is legendary, not because they measure it, but because they honor it. Their resilience is unshakable, not because they chase it, but because they breathe it. This is the wisdom of Africa. The body becomes powerful when life itself becomes movement. You don't need a gym to be strong. You don't need equipment to be fast. You don't need technology to be resilient. You need rhythm. You need purpose. You need connection. You need the courage to move the way humans were designed to move. Freely, joyfully, meaningfully. The world's toughest warriors were not the biggest, not the most muscular, not the loudest. They were the people who woke up every day and met life with motion. People who trained not for vanity, but for harmony. People who found in the land, in the music, in the community, a reason to push forward. And so the message is simple. Live better, not just longer. Move with meaning. Train with purpose. Dance with joy. Walk with gratitude. Jump with pride. Let your body tell the stories your ancestors once told in movement, sound, and sweat. Strength is not in the gym. Strength is in you.